Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one comes from Miles. Good morning, guys. I've been absolutely floored by Andor so far, and I can't wait for episode 4 on Wednesday. I know season 2 was already greenlit before this season started airing, but I didn't know what Tony Gilroy already had the entire second season completely mapped out. Was Disney that confident in the show that they paid for the entire second season to be developed before the first season even started? What do you guys think?
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Miles. Yeah, listen, we've known for a while that they had in advance greenlit season 2 of Andor. And we knew the basic idea that season 1 was going to be 1 year, and then season 2, every 3 episodes was going to represent another year leading up to the events of Rogue One. Okay, we know that. What we didn't know was just how far they went into the full development. Because listen, we talk about this all the time. Everybody can have a plan. I mean, the Aragon Dragon series was supposed to be a trilogy, and we all saw how that turned out. Or Universal's Dark Universe movies was going to be The Mummy and Jekyll and Hyde and as in all these movies. Well, we saw how that turned out. So you can have your plans, but apparently they didn't just plan to have a season 2. They've already fully developed it. And Tony Gilroy is now saying, oh yeah, it's second season's already completely mapped out. And they just released the first 3 episodes of season 1. This comes to us from the folks at CBR who wrote the following. While Andor Season 1 only premiered days ago and Season 2 is likely still years away, the series showrunner, which is Tony Gilroy, acknowledges that the second season is already mapped out. He says, the writing process is super complicated because we're really trying to get everything just absolutely perfect, and it's 700 pages of original material. It's an incredible amount of scene work and actors. I'm expecting that the last script from my brother, screenwriter and director Dan Gilroy, in a week on his block. I owe my 3 scripts, but they're all sketched out. We know exactly what we're doing, but the moment-to-moment details of it will probably still be hammered out through April, and that of course comes us to CBR. So every major step along the way of this story is already planned out. Rob, we've often heard that they've already got plans for a sequel or plans for a season 2 or plans for season 3, but they don't go into full-blown development and get it all worked out before the first one even comes out. What does this tell you about this series?
Well, I think that, this series has had an interesting development process because Tony Gilroy was brought in again on this because they had scripts written. They weren't happy with this. If you go back 2 and 3 years and look at where the show was, they brought him in to sort of revamp it all. So they've had a lot of time developing this series. And I'm like, this is the way to go. If you're doing a spy series, you already have your end product, which is Rogue One. You know where you're going. They're telling an epic spy tale. I think they're approaching this like a great novel. And the fact that, like he just said, Gilroy said, I mean, that's exciting that Dan Gilroy, who made Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, is directing and writing on this show. I mean, we're getting Academy Award caliber screenwriters and directors working on this movie or working on this series. I think it's great, and it makes sense because on a show like Andor, where your end, you better have this thing mapped out because what you want it to be is now. Can you imagine, John? We're going to have 24 episodes and then a movie that could ultimately be one of the most satisfying things ever to come out of the Star Wars franchise. I mean, I think that's what they're going for. Yeah,
and they're certainly off to a great start with these first 3 episodes. Of course, the 4th episode dropping this week.
I mean, you've seen where it's going.
Yes.
It ups the ante, according to you, and becomes more Star Wars.
What they've done here is completely incredible. We'll see if the second half of the season can match up with what they've done the first half, but they're off to a great start. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this. Like, what does this tell you about Andor and their plans, and what's your big takeaway from this?
We're not going to be changing canon that's been established, is what I'm hoping this means. We have our endpoint, like Rob was saying, so we know how this has to end. I think that a show like this has to be carefully mapped out so that you don't rush things, so you also don't skirt over things that are important to getting to the Cassian Andor that we meet in Rogue One. So I think this is very, very smart. And it's something I wish more shows did, because we have so many series that, start out the gate really, really strong, but then they just kind of flip and flop around for a while and they don't know what they're going to do. They're just a fish on a deck, basically, right? So I'm really, really happy that we have a trajectory here. And it makes sense, too, if you were doing something that is a kind of spy thriller, you need to know who's going to have those heel turns, who's going to actually betray the group, who's going to win and have a good moment. So I think this is a really smart thing. Gives me confidence.
You know what else, John? This is something that is the strength of streaming. Because on network television, if somebody pitches a pilot, they make the pilot and they don't know if they're going to get picked up or whatever. So they don't spend, there's no writing staff to plot where an entire show is going. But because this is a Disney Plus Star Wars show, they can gamble. They hire these people and they're like, okay, we're committing to 24 episodes.
Right.
We know. So the people, the showrunners, are afforded an opportunity to start thinking about the entire show that they're making, which is something that only streaming can do, and only somebody who has deep pockets can make happen. Because everything else, it's like, well, maybe you'll get a second season, maybe, but when you know that you're actually doing this, you can spend the time, and I would imagine this show is going to be incredibly satisfying. And there's a strength that streaming has that network certainly doesn't.
Right, but you used a word that a lot of these streamers don't like: gamble. They are pretty adverse to that, which is why it's impressive to me, as gambling adverse as these streamers can be. This just makes it more impressive to me that they did go all the way ahead and say, listen, it's an automatic. It doesn't matter what happens. We know we got something on our hands here. We're going to move ahead with the development. Anyway, guys, we run out of time. We got to keep moving on here. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The fact that they've already completely mapped out season 2 of Andor. Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts that a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either way too tight on your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore, and it's time to upgrade. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. And the John Campea Show viewers and listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off using the code CAMPEA at trueclassic.com. Look, you and I both know that almost all of men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs. But let's be honest, that's not most of us. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt that you can always confidently throw on. Like most of you guys, ever since college, I've always struggled to find proper fitting t-shirts that are comfortable. Well, True Classic, from the moment I put on the shirt they sent me, solves it. And True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the promo code CAMPEA. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day refund policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you.